For the past 16 years, the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce Education Report Card has played an important role in providing accountability for the performance of Metro schools. The report card was started back in 1992 to fill an important void. During that time, before the development of the state report card, and well before No Child Left Behind, there was no easily accessible resource for business people, citizens, or parents to look to if they wanted to learn about the performance of Metro schools. Each year, the Chamber assembles a citizens committee composed of Chamber members and stakeholders from the broader Nashville community to research, conduct interviews, visit schools, and assemble data, with the result being the annual report card. What continues to make the Chamber Education Report Card unique is not only the compilation of important student achievement data, but also the publication of 10 specific recommendations for how Metro schools can improve. In the information age, where education reports and statistics seem to come from every direction, the Chamber's Education Report Card is an easy-to-read, citizen-produced guide to the progress and the challenges found in Nashville's public schools.
First of all, my name is Ralph Schultz. I'm CEO of the Chamber, and thank you all for being here. What a fabulous turnout, and very indicative of the community's interest in education and why the Chamber has selected education to be the #1 priority that it is attentive to. As you will see later when you see the report, in the back of the report, an appendix that gives even further evidence from some of our research of the community's interest in education. We are pleased today to have numerous dignitaries with us. This is the 16th annual report created by 23 community members. The group that creates this report over the course of about 5 months is one of the most representative and broadest active groups within the Chamber, and we're very excited and appreciative for what they have done for us. We'd just like to make some special recognition here at the beginning of our event. First of all, I know that Vice Mayor Diane Neighbors is here. Would you stand, please? There you are. Okay. Of course, you will be hearing from Mayor Dean and Dr. Register and David Fox later in the program. We'd also like to recognize all the members of the Metro Council that are here, and I know there are numerous. Would you stand too, please? I know some are standing in the back. Raise your hand. And members of our school board who are here as well, if you would please stand or raise your hand, wave at the crowd. Thank you. The Chamber has made continuing investments in education. One of the most significant investments we have made over the past couple of years, is to draw to our staff at the Chamber a person that's familiar to everyone in Nashville that's been involved in education for the last 10 years. Formerly working for the mayor's office in education and now working with the Chamber, and this is the second report that he's had the opportunity to lead at the Chamber. I'd like to introduce to you Mark Hill, our Chief Education Officer, who will guide you through the rest of today's events. Mark Hill.
Thank you, Ralph. Welcome, everyone, to the Nashville Area Chamber's presentation of the 16th Annual Education Report Card for Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools. As many of you know, the Chamber's top priority is strengthening public education. Business leaders in the community understand that an excellent public school system will drive the future prosperity of our city and our region. We believe bringing business and community leaders together to discuss education policy will generate further involvement and success in our schools. Before we move on, I'd like to recognize the sponsors that make today's events possible and all the Chamber events possible. Thank you to our pivotal partners, a partnership at the highest level for all Chamber programs and events: AT&T, Colliers, Turley, Martin, Tucker, Community Health Systems, and Delec U.S. Holdings, operating as Mapco Express. Thanks also to our supporting level education advocate, Dell, whose support has specifically enabled the Chamber to continue quality programming toward education initiatives. And I know Ken Bissell of Dell is here with us today. Thank you for your support. The committee would like to extend a special thank you to Lowe's Vanderbilt Hotel, who hosted all of the committee's meetings this past fall. Tom Negri and his staff did an outstanding job in hosting and making our meetings and our work that much easier. Please join me in thanking these outstanding Chamber members for their support. We do have one assignment for you during today's program. At your seats, you will have found an event evaluation form. We would love to have your feedback on today's event. So please take some time before you leave to fill out the form. A Chamber staff member will be at the door to take your evaluation at the end of the program on your way out as you receive your copy of this year's report card. At this time, I'd like to introduce a school board member and a leader who was first elected to the board in 2006. David Fox is chairman of the Metropolitan Board of Education. And since its brief tenure as chair, the meetings are noticeably shorter. And all of the loyal viewership of Metro Cable Channel 3, thank you, David, for that. On a serious note, the meetings are shorter because the board has sharpened its focus on the important issues and priorities that the board needs to focus on in order to be successful for our children. So thank you, David, for that focus, and please take a few minutes to extend a welcome.
Thank you, Mark. I'll try to keep the brevity theme alive here. For 15 years, the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce's annual report card was the only regular outside critical assessment of Metro Nashville Public Schools. Then a year ago, the Tennessee Department of Education aggressively stepped in and commissioned an audit of MNPS operations by the Council of Chief State School Officers. This audit was very high quality, comprehensive and candid, arguably brutally so, in its assessment of our shortcomings. It also was completely consistent with the advice that has been offered by the Chamber report card in recent years. While the CCSSO audit was performed by professional educators, the Chamber report card relies mostly on concerned local civic leaders, few of whom have professional backgrounds in pre-K through 12 education. Yet the findings of the Chamber report card unfailingly are as insightful and helpful as any review or audit of our school system. I cannot overstate the value of a thoughtful, objective analysis for an organization, a bureaucracy really, the size of MNPS. Nashville is extremely fortunate to have the intelligent, passionate men and women willing to undertake such a time-intensive project. As a representative of the Metro Nashville Board of Education, I can assure you that we take the report card seriously, we consider it worthwhile, and we tremendously appreciate the effort. Last month, the school board addressed the primary shortcoming of report cards in years past, and that is the failure to have a school system administration that could fully capitalize on the report's recommendations. In Dr. Jesse Register, we have a nationally renowned superintendent who is a superb organizational leader and an expert in urban education. There is no one in whom the state has more confidence to oversee public education in Nashville than Dr. Register. This backing ensures he will lead our school district for at least the next 3 to 5 years. But in the coming months, Dr. Register will introduce his big picture plans for Nashville schools. I have a sneaking suspicion he has something more in mind than just tweaking around the edges. When he determines and announces his plans for the profound reform of MNPS, I am sure we can expect to see key elements of today's report embedded throughout. The Board of Education takes seriously the Chamber report card. We are pleased that Dr. Register will have the opportunity to be informed of its insights when developing his reform plans for Metro Nashville Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Before we go further, I want to also have a special thank you and mention to the Adventure Science Center for hosting today's event. Susan Duva-Hagen, who runs the Adventure Science Center, and the staff here are outstanding. It's part of the educational mission of the Adventure Science Center to open her doors, and thank you for making this event possible. This time, I'd like to briefly introduce the members of the Report Card Committee in 2008. If you would, as I call your name, please stand and remain standing, and we'll recognize all the members of the committee at the very end of the recognition. Aline Arnold, Hillsborough Cluster Parent. Dr. Kristen Arthur, Associate Dean, College of Education, Tennessee State University. Price Bell Jr., Properties and Operations Manager, DZL Management Company. Keith Belton, Director of Corporate and Foundation Relations, Fisk University. Reverend Raymond Bowman, Pastor, Spruce Street Baptist Church, and President of the Interdenominational Ministerial Fellowship. Andrea Dillenberg, Executive Director of the Nashville Ballet. Jacobia Dow, Operation Information Analyst, Healthways. Buck Dozier, Executive Director, Tennessee State Fair. Pat Halper, Community Volunteer. John Hilly, Senior Advisor, NMG Advisors. Councilman Lonnell Matthews, and also with the YMCA of Middle Tennessee. Dr. Catherine McTammany, Lecturer, Peabody College, Vanderbilt University. Ginger Hauser Pepper, Assistant Director, Center for Service Learning and Civic Engagement at Tennessee State University. Erin Richardson, Director of Legal Advocacy Project with the ARC of Davidson County. Khaled Sakala, Vice President of Academics, International Academy of Design and Technology. Vicente Samaniego, Project Coordinator for Family and Community Education, Meharry Medical College. Benjamin Smith, Executive Director, Youth Speaks, Nashville. Bobby Lee Smith, President and CEO, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee. Margaret Whitfield, retired Metro Schools teacher. Anderson Williams, Director of New Initiatives, Oasis Center. Please join me in recognizing the outstanding committee. An outstanding committee is led by outstanding leaders, and we had two great Crow chairs this past year. Michael Hayes is Vice President of CB Ragland Company, and Joyce Searcy is President and CEO of the Bethlehem Centers of Nashville. Michael and Joyce, please take us through this year's report card.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you all for joining us this morning. We'd like to begin with an overview of the performance of Metro schools during the 2007-2008 school year. As you know, it's the most recent year for which we have data available. There are many things to celebrate within MNPS. We'd like to start with a few commendations. Perhaps most encouraging, the graduation rate continues to increase each year. 72.6% of Metro students graduated in the 2007-2008 school year. I think it's important to note that this is defined as 4-year graduation rate plus a summer. If you look at a 5-year graduation rate, the number's even higher. This is up from 70% in previous years and 58% 4 years ago. With the efforts in high school redesign and career academies, we look forward to seeing this increase accelerate in the years ahead. Another important thing to note, more Metro students are proficient or advanced under No Child Left Behind. All demographic subgroups maintained or increased the percentage of proficient students in reading and math over previous years. Metro schools got all A's and B's in reading and math on the state report card. K-8 achievement grades improved from C's to B's in both reading and math. These grades reflect student mastery of the state standards. Metro maintained all A's or B's in K-8 value added, which measures the growth in student learning over the course of the school year. It is important to note, however, that these grades are based on Tennessee state standards, which according to many have been among the lowest in the nation, but are about to be increased. High schools are making improvements. They are still not where we need to be, but more Metro high schools are making AYP, or adequate yearly progress. Overton and Pearl Cone have come off the state list and are now in good standing under NCLB. 6 other Metro high schools made AYP in 2008 and are in improving status. If they can make AYP again this year, they will also move into good standing. Several Metro schools are nationally ranked. U.S. News and World Report publishes an annual list of the top 500 public high schools in the country. Hume-Fogg, MLK, and Hillsborough all made the most recent list. In this slide, you can see the history of Metro's letter grades on the state report card in the area of K-8 achievement. In the last column on the right, you see MNPS students received B's in reading and math for 2008, a C in social studies, and unfortunately a D in science. There's clearly room for improvement. On the next slide, you see the history of Metro's letter grades on the state report card in the area of K-8 value-added growth. In the last column on the right, Metro received A's and B's in all 4 subjects in 2008. We found many challenges for MNPS. Despite these positive steps forward, the academic progress of our district has not been rapid enough. As a district, MNPS did not make adequate yearly progress under No Child Left Behind in 2008. We have moved from corrective action to restructuring 1. As a result of our status under NCLB, this past summer, the state made budget, personnel, and organizational changes in our district. If our district does not make AYP this summer, the state will have the option of taking over our school system. This is within a matter of months. Despite a growing number of our high schools making AYP, the high school years remain our greatest challenge under NCLB. 7 demographic subgroups of high school students missed AYP in 2008. This compared to 1 demographic subgroup of K through 8 students missing AYP this past year. When you look at the ACT entrance exam, it is clear that too many of our students are not prepared for post-secondary education. A 19 on the ACT is the minimum score required to be accepted to a public college or university. 11 metro high schools have an average ACT score below 19. I think more important for Davidson County residents is the fact that students need a 21 on the ACT to qualify for the Hope Scholarship. Only 52% of our students receive the award. We see counties like Wilson with 59%, or Williamson with 72% of students receiving the scholarship. We really need to aim higher. Only 2 metro high schools have an average ACT score of 21 or above. We thoroughly support Governor Bredeson's initiative to raise the rigor of Tennessee State's education standards. These new higher standards will take effect in the next school year. Our students need to be measured and prepared for the global economy. I think it's very important to realize that when the bar is raised higher, this change could very well lead to a moderate to significant decline in test scores in the years ahead because of the changing metric. This graph shows that all different demographic subgroups that have to make AYP in order for a school system to be in good standing. This is for elementary and middle schools. A green plus means that that subgroup made adequate yearly progress under NCLB. A red X means that subgroup missed the NCLB target. All subgroups must have a green plus, and you can see that metro schools had 1 subgroup miss the target in K through 8. But when you look at high school students, there are many more subgroups missing AYP, 7 in all. The committee noted several other challenges related to school system performance. There appears to be continued problems accurately taking and recording student attendance. Students have to be in class in order to be successful. Students who are not in class must be identified quickly in order for the new truancy center to be effective. This past year, there were reports that federal funds were not used in accordance with guidelines and that some federal funds were unspent and had to be returned to the federal government. As a consequence, MNPS has been labeled a high-risk sub-guarantee for additional federal funds in the future. While steps have been undertaken to get MNPS in compliance, this lack of management is clearly unacceptable. It is critical that MNPS be very clear and forthright to the public in how it plans to resolve these issues. We think that 2008 can most charitably be described as a year of transition. For many inside and outside the district, it was a year of uncertainty and confusion. Our former director, Dr. Garcia, resigned in January of 2008. Interim Director Chris Henson served for the remainder of the year. The state made dramatic changes during the summer, modifying the budget and reassigning principals. School board elections were held in August and brought 2 new board members in. After a lengthy listening tour, Mayor Dean became actively involved in supporting education reform. All this took place during a national search for a new director of schools that wasn't completed until January of 2009. Our schools, our teachers, and our students can't take another year of transition. It's time for all of these stakeholders to come together and produce a unified vision for metro schools. I think very important to the discussion about MNPS and how we move forward as a community is the public's opinion of the school system. What do Nashvillians think about public education? The Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce commissioned a public opinion poll as a new feature of this year's report card. The random telephone survey of 500 Nashville residents was conducted in May of 2008, at the end of the last school year examined by this report. How do Nashvillians think their city is doing in general? 68% think Nashville is moving in the right direction. 33% believe public education is the #1 issue facing our city, far outdistancing the other issues such as crime, the economy, and taxes. As Mayor Dean said in his campaign just over a year ago, it's all connected. And to this committee, that connection revolves around improving the education we can offer the youth of Nashville. The Chamber asked, how do you think Metro schools are doing at the end of the school year in 2008 compared to 5 years ago? 66% said the same or worse. Only 20% said the schools were now better. When Nashvillians were asked to rate the different tiers of schools on a scale of 1 to 5, elementary schools received the most positive rating, followed by middle schools and then high schools. Now, despite these challenges in perception, a full 85% of respondents said that it was important for them personally to improve public education. We believe this points to an enormous potential for positive change in our school system. The survey asked, is funding for schools important? 71% said Metro should provide more funding for schools to meet the challenges. And these tough economic times, Nashville clearly sees the need to invest in our future. And now I'm pleased to turn over the presentation over to my esteemed co-chair, Joyce Searcy. Joyce will review the committee's 10 recommendations to improve the performance of Metro schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Every year, the Education Report Card Committee formulates 10 recommendations intended to serve as ideas to improve the performance of our schools. Some of you may remember that years ago we did a letter grade, and really we changed to the 10 recommendations because we really want people to focus on what we need to do to improve and become better. Now, you can review the status of last year's report card recommendations in the appendices of this year's report that you will get on your way out of the door. In addition to reviewing the performance of Metro schools every year, this committee also looks at 2 other issues in great detail. This year, we chose for the other 2 areas high school redesign, in particular the initiative of smaller learning communities and career academies. And the second area that we chose, other than performance, was teacher quality and effectiveness. Now, in the area of school performance, we should know how our students compare academically with students in other large districts across the country. Metro students should participate in the National Assessment of Educational Progress Trial Urban District Assessment to allow Nashville to compare the academic performance of our students to that of 11 other peer cities. That includes Austin, Charlotte, and Atlanta. We need to budget significant additional resources to evaluate the effectiveness of key initiatives and programs. This was the only repeated recommendation from last year, and our committee was very disappointed that very little was done on this issue. Just as in every business, decision makers need to have data in order to maximize every dollar towards student achievement. Every high school needs a strategy to ensure that all high school graduates attain at least a 21 on the ACT score so that they can qualify for a Hope Lottery scholarship. If their parents are going to be buying lottery tickets, at least the students need to be able to go to school. No Child Left Behind has created an intense focus on core academies, and that is important. But we are concerned that the arts have been pushed out of the classrooms. We would like to see creative ways We would like to see creative ways to reincorporate education in the visual and performing arts as a proven strategy for reaching academic standards and engaging students in learning. Now, in the area of high school redesign, we have 3 recommendations. The high school career academy model needs a clear commitment from the district and school level leadership with the necessary resources to make this reform sustainable. If a school and faculty have committed to implement career academies, let's make sure that the school has a principal who is committed and able to get that accomplished. Our district has a high student mobility rate, which means students transfer in, they transfer out and between our schools throughout the year. When students transfer between schools with different types of schedules, some of the schools are doing Tuesday, Thursday classes, some are doing a period Monday through Friday. These students fall through the cracks. We recommend operating all zoned high schools with a high student mobility rate on the same type of class schedule. Our career academies need to be communicated effectively, both internally within each high school and the district, and externally to the larger Nashville community, with a special focus on having the information visible on school websites. And in the area of teacher quality and effectiveness, we have 3 recommendations. Let's authorize school principals to prescribe professional development for each member of their faculty and provide training for principals on how to assess teacher training needs. We heard a lot about that. We need to develop a district strategy to ensure that new teachers are placed in schools, in grade levels and subjects for which they are best suited to teach. And the last recommendation in this area, we think that we need to create a consortium between the higher education teacher preparations programs located right here in Nashville, that is Tennessee State University, Vanderbilt University, Belmont University, Lipscomb University, Trevecca, Fisk University, and Aquinas, and the Metro Nashville Public Schools. The consortium would develop a way to provide at least 2 years of ongoing training and professional support to new teacher hires in the Metro Nashville Public School System from these local universities at no cost to these teachers. And if there is one overarching theme to this year's report, for us, it is that 2008 was a year of transition. But it's time to end the transition and the uncertainty and have leadership step forward and provide a common vision for our schools. At this time, we'd like to give an opportunity to our city and school district to respond to these findings and recommendations. Mayor Carl Dean has made education his top priority since day one. So please join me in welcoming the Mayor of Nashville, Carl Dean.
Thank you, Joyce, for that introduction, and thank you all for being here. It's great to have the Board of Education, the Metro Council members here, and along with so many other school administrators and leaders in our community. I think this is a reflection of how this city values education and how we know that as a city, the #1 issue facing our community is the need to get public education right. It was referenced in earlier that during the course of my campaign for mayor, I talked about things being connected, and they truly are. If we are to be the great city that we can become, we're already a great city, but I think we can become one of the greatest cities in this country, unquestionably. We have so much going for us. You saw the public opinion polls that say the city is essentially going in the right direction. We need to continue to stay focused on the things that really matter, which is the safety of our public, the education of our kids, and the economic development that will follow. And I applaud the Chamber of Commerce for undertaking this effort to do this report card, because I've said this many times, and I really mean this. It is, as a mayor, you have to be gratified when the Chamber of Commerce of your city, when the business leaders of your city make their #1 issue public education. That speaks volumes to our community, and thank you to the Chamber for that. I have had an opportunity to look at the report card briefly, and I want to commend the individuals who worked on the report card, Joyce and Michael, for your hard work, and all your committee members. There's some really outstanding things in here. Let me just comment on a few things. I mean, I agree with almost every one of the recommendations that Joyce just outlined. There are some areas of the report I would direct your attention to, and I think the first thing you ought to look at is the good news, which is starts early in the book and talks about graduation rates going up. That is good news, and we should applaud our school for their success there. More students are proficient and advanced, which is good news. We have better ways of communicating. The schools are specifically applauded for the automated call system they put into place. And there are several other areas. I mean, the thing I talk about a lot is the fact that we have high schools that are ranked among the top 25 schools in this country, which is a remarkable achievement. So there is a lot of good news, and we know we have great teachers who every day go to work and work hard to educate our kids. And we know that these teachers are doing the work that is the most important work that is being done in our community. Now, there are challenges. And again, these are things we shouldn't run away from. I mean, this is, one of the great things about being mayor of Nashville is that, as I said, this is a great city. And if we stay focused on the things that matter and work on the challenges, get things done, then it's even going to be better. So these are challenges. And we want challenges. That's why we're all here. We're people who want to be involved in things. All right. One of the things referenced here is Governor Bredesen's diploma project. The bar is about to get higher. That is fantastic news. All right. We have not been measuring ourselves at the national level. Our kids are going to compete in a national economy. They're going to compete in an international economy. So the fact that the bar is rising is good news. We should applaud that and applaud the governor for his courage to get that done. As a politician, you don't want to set yourself up for bad news. But you have to do it. You've got to go through these painful years to get to where we need to be, and he deserves a tremendous amount of credit for having the courage to get that done. We need, I agree with what Michael referenced, we need to compare ourselves with these other urban areas. I think this is a great recommendation. We need to know how we compare with how cities that we compete with directly are doing in the area of education, whether that's Austin, whether that's Charlotte. That's information we need as a city, and I fully support that recommendation. Students have to be in class. Okay. I think we all agree on that. Okay. We're spending $500,000 on an attendance center that's working. And there's more that it can do. We have to make it a fundamental goal for this city in the next year to do much better of knowing when kids are in school and when they're not in school. This isn't a problem that's new. It's been around for a long time, and it wasn't created by anyone. We all need to work together just to get this accomplished. It really ought to be, the John Irving, the great writer who was here this year, spoke at the Library Foundation. In one of his books, he says, the wrestling coach says, you got to get obsessed and you got to stay obsessed. If one thing we can all agree to do today for the next year is to get obsessed and to stay obsessed about attendance and truancy. We can agree on that? And I think that will make a positive impact on graduation rates, and it'll make a positive impact for our city in terms of safety and for the welfare of our kids. We can't afford to leave dollars on the table. Another recommendation. Of course, I agree with that. These are challenging times, and we're going to need to manage in the most effective way we possibly can. When you get something like this people tend not to read them. Read it. I think it's a very good piece of work, and I highly recommend it. We need to seek input from our parents, and I commend Dr. Register for going out and listening, every time I see him, he's in between 10 school visits that day, and he's got a meeting scheduled that night with parents and teachers. I commend him for that. And one thing I can say about Dr. Register he is a good communicator. You know, he talks straight, talks directly, and that is a major, major plus. We need not only to talk to educators and teachers and parents here, but we need to be open and listen to the reformers around the country. There are a lot of interesting ideas in education. We need to be open to them and aggressively pursuing them. Whether it's been in the establishment of the attendance center, or whether it's been an after-school initiative that we announced yesterday, or whether it's New Teachers Project or Teach for America, I am committed to doing what I can do to help ensure that our students are engaged and that they graduate from our high schools. We face many challenges. We face these challenges together. We're not always going to agree. I'm not always going to be patient. But this is our time. I've said this several times in the past year. You've got the school board, you've got the council, you've got the business leaders, you've got community leaders, the nonprofits. Everybody is focused on education. Seize the day. Seize the day. Be bold, take strong steps, and don't be afraid. We're going to get there. This report is a step in the right direction. I applaud the chamber. I applaud the committee. I applaud our school system, our school leaders. I look forward to working with you all in the days ahead. Thank you. I now have the honor of introducing a great communicator, Dr. Register.
Good morning to all of you. I believe I feel the pressure for being a good communicator. First, let me thank the chamber, Ralph Schultz, Mark, the committee members, co-chair, Michael Hayes and Joyce Searcy for a great report. I've had the opportunity to review this briefly, and please let me echo what the mayor said. If you haven't had an opportunity to see it, and I know you're getting it for the first time, I hope you will take time to review this. It's an excellent report. And to Mark and members of the committee, to co-chair, I would like to commend you for the quality and depth of the report which you have given. My remarks will be brief, but what I would like to share with you very, very briefly is my perception of the report, having only reviewed it in just a few minutes, actually. I find the report to be insightful. I find the report to be accurate, and I find the report to be instructive. And I'll speak just a moment about 2 or 3 of the major recommendations that have been presented to you in the report. High school redesign, absolutely essential. We know that we have much work to do in creating quality high schools for all students. We have only begun this work. There is a real urgency about achieving this, what's in this report, and much more. The second issue that I would like to address is that of quality teachers. Yes, that is the answer. Every school, every classroom, every student, every year. We must provide quality teachers for all of those. And I would like to take it a step further and say that our responsibility is to provide a support system so that every one of those teachers can find success with every one of our students. And the last thing I would like to address is the issue of system performance. I said the report is instructive. I recall reading the report when I was getting ready to interview for the job, and frankly, it was one of the most instructive pieces of information I had to learn about Metro Nashville Public Schools and where we were. I think the recommendation for measuring system performance and evaluating system performance in conjunction with the other metropolitan districts in this country is very important. Good recommendation, and I'll tell you now, we'll do that. National Assessment of Educational Progress is a good report, and by all means we should participate. When I came about 30 days ago, when I came to the job, I asked the board to let me have 90 days to meet with people, to talk with people, to visit schools. The number now stands at 54. Yesterday we did 9. I said 10 incorrectly yesterday in the middle of the day, but 9 schools yesterday, to observe and to plan. I still ask for the 60 days to finish that process so that it's a thoughtful process, and to engage the Board of Education in the opportunity to begin crafting that common vision. And I think it's terrific to have this group of people here today to help us, to engage with us in a process of creating a common vision for public education in our community. And so I look forward to coming back to you in 60 days and talking to you about this report. Yes, it's instructive. This can be a cornerstone of creating a common vision for our community. Thank you again for the great partnership. I particularly want to recognize Mark Hill. Mark, great report. Thank you very much for what you've done, and I look forward to working with all of you. For those of you who I may not have met, I hope I have an opportunity to meet you today. Thank you for having me here today as a part of this presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Register. Dr. Register, I'm a history major, and there's a saying in history about all good work done standing on the shoulders of giants, of those who came before. And looking across the crowd, I recognize several former chairs of the Report Card Committee with us today. And briefly want to recognize Avi Poster, Ted Helm, Sonny Dixon, and Debbie Gould. Please join me in thanking them for their past service. Again, also want to thank our sponsors who made this possible: Lowe's Vanderbilt Hotel, Dell, the Adventure Science Center. And thank you to each of you for choosing to participate and invest in success through being a Chamber member. For those who have questions about leveraging Chamber membership to grow your business, our membership team will be available after the event. We also invite you to go online to download the report. It's now available at www.nationalchamber.com. And please complete the survey at your seat, and we'll hand you a copy of the 2008 report card on your way out. Thank you again for being here today.
Well, since its inception, one of the things that is important for us in the community is to have confidence in our school system. And I think that the report card outlines some areas of where the community can celebrate what the school system is doing and what's happening within, particularly around teachers and student achievement. The graduation rates, once again, were increasing. And so I think it does give the kind of confidence. And at the same time, while acknowledging not everything is ideal within the system and that there are areas of being able to improve, but it gives the community efforts to be able to galvanize around particular issues. And so when it lifts up and the comparison rates, I think that that's a real good recommendation that has appeared before. But once again, I think it says to the community that education is important, that people who influence the decisions within the community are behind education, the chambers behind education, and so I think it's a very good report. And once again, the diversity of the panel members in all aspects of the community says that this is something that the community can get behind.
Well, thank you very much, Sonny. I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, isn't this invigorating? Just seeing this crowd is awesome.
It is.
And the amount of work that goes into this report is really unbelievable. This group that's here to watch this today and the people that will read this report, I believe, will really get a lot out of it. The community is very engaged, and this continues to keep them engaged. I'm really proud of the Chamber having stayed with this for a long time. I think this is, I don't even know, the 13th year of this, I think.
16th.
16th.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Could you maybe say a few things about the direction that you think the board is going and the direction that the report card is able to bring to the community?
Well, it's tough work, and I don't know that the toughness is ever going to go away. So I think asking for accountability for the school system, I think, is very important. Taking an objective look, I think, is very important, and reevaluating every year what we need to do. It's humbling just knowing what all these teachers offer our students and how much help they all need to get that job done. So.
It was a packed house, and although it's a project of the Chamber, there were people from all sectors of the community. And what really came through loud and clear is that for the mayor, for the public, for the Chamber, for businesses, the most important thing we do as a community is public schools. So, but the thing that rang with me the most was the importance of getting the kids to school. So, you know, I'd like to say to parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles, if you can get your kid to school, they have a whole lot better chance to make that 21 on the ACT that'll get them a Hope Scholarship.
I agree. Thank you very much, Betty. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Well, first of all, speaking as the chair of the Education Committee for the Metro Council, a report card like this comes at a really critical time because we're really trying to figure out what the priorities are for education, and this will give us a guideline and a map to figure those out.
So you think that it's going to help set the groundwork for many changes down the road and help maybe increase the Nashville public school system?
I think that it's really important to notice how many people are in this room today and are all energized around education. This report card is an accumulation of so many inputs and from those different constituencies, and that Metro Council will take all of that information and work with the school board to come up with a comprehensive approach to how we can fund what's most important, especially as it relates to this report card.
Well, the Chamber of Commerce's report card is one of the most valuable outside critiques we receive each year. Until this past year, in fact, we had not received any critique other than the Chamber's report. This past year, we received a critique and audit done by the state, which was helpful. But the points that have been made in the Chamber report cards in previous years and in this year's are ones that are completely consistent with the professional critique we had, the audit that was done earlier this year. It's important to us to have this sort of outside guidance. When you're leading a large organization, it's helpful to have somebody with an external perspective to share with us things we're doing right, and more importantly, things we're doing wrong. And every year, I've been on the school board for about 2.5 years. I've been following their report cards since they came out 16 years ago, and they're very valuable. Our administration will be taking it very seriously. I think in years past, there's been some suspicion that perhaps the school's administration wasn't paying enough attention to the Chamber report card. I can assure you that that will be different this year. It's a very valuable document. I know Dr. Register, our new superintendent, views it as a high-quality document. And just from my conversations with him in the last few weeks, I know he has some pretty profound reform plans for our district, and they are very consistent with what we see today in the Chamber report card.
Well, thank you very much, David, for your time, and thank you for all your help in the community.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.